So this training video is about productivity, but it basically means getting more done in less time with less stress. Now, for this to really work, we need to focus on two things: what we do and who we are doing it, what kind of person we are doing it. So it's about energy management as well as the actual things that we're doing. So right from the off, there's some very, very simple ideas to boost your productivity on a day-by-day basis. One of the single most important things that you can do is to make sure that you turn off notifications. So you turn off your email ping, you turn off your ringtone on your phone. There's a ton of research out suggesting that every time you're doing some work, you're involved in a project, and you get that email ping and slide in, it's going to take you 7 minutes to refocus and get back to the same level of concentration before that notification went off. Now, email is one of those things where you really have to manage it on your terms. If you keep reacting every time you get a notification, you are wasting so much time. So make sure that when you do check your emails, you do it deliberately, you do it as a block, and you don't just do it every time you get a notification. So if you do that, you've lost 7 minutes every single time it goes through. Now, if you get, on a good day, maybe 50 emails a day, on a good day for some of you, that's a lot of wasted time, a lot of wasted productivity, focus, and concentration time. So at the very least, if nothing else today, turn off your email notifications and just go in and check it on your terms. Now, for me personally, I would suggest twice a day, maybe 10 o'clock and 4 o'clock, to check your emails. It might often be a good idea to set your out of office or your autoresponder on, just to say that you only ever check your emails twice a day. If it's really important and you need an instant reply, then here's my phone number. You could probably add that to your signature. It's a really useful habit to get into because it really, really works. Email is a big distraction for all of us. It's a huge, huge, huge productivity killer. Make sure that you single task. Again, multitasking is one of these things where, again, there's a ton of research out that just says it's not a good thing. Multitasking isn't a badge of honor. It just simply means that you're doing lots of things badly. Now, for me, that doesn't work. I'd rather do one thing and do it well, and then move on and do a series of tasks, but giving one task all my attention rather than splitting it over 4, 5, 6 different things and doing each of those 5, 6 things badly. Take regular breaks. We need to be taking breaks both physically and emotionally in order to feel good. So make sure you stand up, you walk around, you get some fresh air, you get some sunlight. Our eyes, our bodies, our skin need regular vitamin D to give us energy. So get outside more, move around. Again, you're going to come back after that break and be way more productive, get way more done with less hassle. There's nothing really to be gained by slogging it out. Remember before we talked about how the brain works? When you are not taking regular breaks, your brain goes into survival mode. It will literally get you through the day. It means you're not thriving. It means you have no energy, no engagement. So we need to make sure that you're getting up, you're moving around, you're staying hydrated. So we're drinking at least 2 litres of water a day, every day, plus teas, coffees, and squashes on top of that 2 litres. A lot of science from sports science institutes which suggest that 3% dehydration can lead to 25% decline in physical and mental performance. When you're thirsty and your throat is dry, then you're 5% dehydrated already. So by the time that you realize you're thirsty, you are already performing 25% less than your potential. So we need to stay hydrated. Yes, when you first start doing this and drinking more water, you will be peeing more. And it will take about a week for that to settle down. It's very much like watering a plant that hasn't been watered for 2 weeks. When you first put water on top of it, it will just run through. The more you water that plant, the more it will absorb and hold on to that water. So stick with it. Yes, you'll be peeing more. Yes, those breaks are good for you. You need to be, again, moving around and getting your body active. This is why standing desks are becoming really, really popular. You know, a lot of offices are changing to get people more standing, more active. And it's all for very, very good reason. The Pomodoro technique is a way of managing your task and your energy in 25-minute blocks. So the idea is that we do 25 minutes of focused work on one task. You just do that. So maybe you just do your emails. You just do 25 minutes and all you do is email. You then take 5 minutes off. You come back and do another 25 minutes on a different task. So maybe it'll be that in that second 25 minutes, you do all your phone calls. You take 5 minutes off, you come back and do another 25 minutes, maybe this time on report writing. But again, you focus on one thing for a set amount of time and then come back to it later. You can cycle through these things. Again, you might check your email, then do your phone calls, then do a report, then do a one-to-one session, and then come back to your phone calls or back to your report. But again, your brain needs to have variety. It needs to have contrast. Think about this like kind of schools, particularly primary schools. They do short 30 to 45 minute lessons and then they'll do something different. So you'll go from an English lesson, you'll take a 5-minute break and then go into art. You'll then come back and do science and then you'll do PE. Because kids' brains have to have that variety. Now an adult brain is no different. Your brain will react the same way as a 7-year-old if a 7-year-old is made to do maths all day. You'll get to about 11 o'clock and you'll switch off. And that's what a lot of people sadly do in the work environment. They'll do the same task 7, 8, 9 hours a day and wonder why they're struggling. Your brain needs to have variety. We need to have real conversations, actual physical verbal conversations. It's all to do with that limbic kind of animal chimp brain that needs emotional connection. You don't get that on email or text. So having a real verbal, ideally face-to-face conversation means that your brain is much, much happier. Take lunch away from your desk. You know, lunch is a legal requirement. You need to have breaks. So many people skip lunch. Again, there's a ton of research that shows that kind of that 2 till 3 p.m. slot in the afternoon, productivity takes a massive dive because people haven't had a lunch break. They haven't had that time away from the desk where they've been outside, had more water, had decent food, and they simply can't cope in the afternoon. So talking about food, here's what I would suggest is that we go low carb in the daytime. So this is how I would do things. Obviously, we are all unique, but this seems to work for most people. Going low carb in the day, so really kind of limiting bread, pasta, potatoes, that kind of starchy carbohydrate in the daytime, and saving that for the evening works really, really well. It keeps your brain sharp. Carbohydrates release a hormone called serotonin. Now, serotonin is a great hormone. It makes us feel good, but it's a hormone and a neurotransmitter that will actually slow our brains down and help us relax. So it's great for the evening, not great for the mid-afternoon when you're struggling anyway. Avoid simple sugars, especially first thing in the morning. Again, this will just kick off a whole roller coaster of energy. You'll be up and down like a yo-yo all day. Again, typical breakfast for most people. Coffee, orange juice, toast and yogurt is just sugar. Stimulants, sugar. You'll just be high and low all day, riding the roller coaster. Obviously, when you're on a low, you want to get back up high again. So that's why you need to have that chocolate bar at 10:30, then that cup of coffee at 11, and then another snack at 12:30. Because your sugar levels are all over the place. So by limiting your carbs, again, it takes about a week or two to adapt to this. Again, your productivity and your energy will skyrocket after about maybe 7 to 10 days. With that, you need to be increasing your protein and your fat as well. That's a good thing. All right, for productivity, really it's about how your brain is functioning. and the energy, engagement, enthusiasm that your brain is showing. Now, the thing to remember is that your brain is like a radio, and it's able to tune in to different frequencies. You can put probes on your head, it can measure your brain activity, and it will show different frequencies according to what kind of mood or emotional state you're in. There are essentially 5 different brain states that we all go through over a 24-hour period. Delta is the slowest, lowest frequency, and we go into delta state when we're sleeping or we're recovering. So we're kind of, if we're not completely unconscious and asleep, we're very dozy, very switched off, very unresponsive. That's what we call delta waves. We need to have those to sleep, to recover, for your body and brain to repair themselves and to process. So if you're struggling to sleep, you're not in delta. We move from delta into what we call theta, which is slightly more active. Now, theta state is very similar to the state you're in when you're hypnotized. And all hypnotic practice is aiming to get you into that state. You're very suggestible, very open to ideas. Your imagination is very open. Up until you're 7 years old, you're predominantly in theta state. That's why a lot of kids, say up to about like a 7-year-old age mark, blend imagination with reality seamlessly. So for a 5-year-old kid, they make a tea set out of mud, and for them, that's a tea set. There's no difference because they're in theta. It means that, say, reality and imagination blur. Beta state is our kind of default eco mode. So if you think about this like a kind of a energy saving, that's just what we revert to make life easier. At the lower end of beta, we have depression, and at the high end we have anxiety, and then low mood, overthinking as we come more and more in. But beta is our kind of default, just meh. To be technical, it's meh. That's the mode we go into just to save energy. So most of us are in beta most of the day. It's not productive. It's just, it is what it is. It's just steady. There's no highs, no lows. It's just there. It's not a good one to be in. It's kind of like being in third gear when you're driving your car. You need to go through it, but you don't want to be in it for long. If you're in third gear driving around town, you're either going to be burning out your engine because you're over revving, or you're under revving because you're in the wrong gear. It's too high. So beta is hard to manage. It's when we want to be in and out of as quick as possible. And I'll show you in a little bit how we do that. Gamma and alpha, really from a work and a productivity place, are where we want to be focusing. So gamma is really where our brains are really highly functioning. You can make connections really quickly. You can solve problems. You're just, in alpha and gamma, you're in the flow. Everything's just easy. There's no threat. There's no stress. You can see things from different perspectives. You're good at forming connections and joining the dots. You're very creative in these two states. So that's really what we're looking to be in. We're looking to be in alpha and gamma in a working state. Beta when we have to, and when we're doing kind of like auto tasks. So if we're doing the filing, or we're doing something really boring that's just run-of-the-mill, low-level task, we can default down to beta. But certainly if we're struggling to get ourselves going, it's because we're in beta, but we need to be in alpha or gamma. So think of it like kind of like radio stations. If you want to go out and get yourself in a good upbeat mood, Radio 4 is not the one you tune into. If you want to slow down and relax and rest, it's probably best not to tune into Radio 1. Now, your brain waves are exactly the same here. So they're all good, they're all useful, but for the right time. Now, a lot of people will struggle to sleep because they're in beta mode, overthinking, when they need to be in delta. Or they need to be productive and flowing, but they're in beta and have a low mood and can't get themselves going. It's a mismatch again between what they want and what they're doing. Now we can very quickly and easily flip between all 5 brain states by using something called binaural beats. Now, I do need to say as well, binaural beats are not to be used if you suffer from any form of epilepsy or have any kind of brain condition. It does alter your brain state. So just to put that out right from here, if you have epilepsy, do not do this. For binaural beats, you need to have headphones. It's on YouTube, it's completely free, and it's a set of music that you plug into, and it will tune your brain into different frequencies. So say, for example, again, these numbers aren't real, but it's easy to kind of explain through with these numbers. Say, for example, alpha is a state of 100 megahertz. Binaural beats will feed different music into each ear. So it may well feed 500 megahertz into your left ear and 400 into your right ear through music. And then your brain adapts to find the 100 difference between the two inputs from your ear, giving you an alpha state of 100 megahertz. Again, you kind of plug into it at least 5 minutes. Personally, I do it when I'm working, and it's remarkable how focused you are when you do this. When you link this in with the kind of Pomodoro technique we spoke about earlier, you get so much done with so little effort, it's unreal. If you want to find out more about it, this link here takes you through it. It gives you more detail about binaural beats, how they work, why they work, and how to really use them. But again, for me, for productivity, this is a must. It's an absolute beauty of a little hack. So remembering we have these brain states, we now want to look at how we set up your day. Now, the first 30 minutes of waking, so when you first open your eyes, you're a little bit groggy. In that first 30 minutes, we are in that theta state. Remember, theta state is the hypnosis state. So it's you're most open to suggestion and programming in the first half an hour of waking up. This is why, to have a really good day, it's essential that you avoid your email, social media, news, or any kind of negativity or stress within half an hour of waking. If the first thing you do is stress your brain out with problems and emails and politics and news and war, you are priming your brain for survival, for negativity, and for dealing with problems. That is, you are literally setting yourself up for the whole day, running it through a negative filter. Same thing if you're going straight for the coffee, sugar, or nicotine in that first half an hour. That will set up your whole day to follow suit. So start your day nicely. Make sure your alarm is a nice, gentle one that makes you feel good, rather than a great big one that shocks you into the morning. It's not a good start. It'll put you into that stress, fight, flight, or freeze mode straight away. So for the first half an hour, when you're in theta, avoid those things. Now, after half an hour, when you are more awake, go for a coffee, have breakfast, put the news on, check your emails, but not within the first half an hour. So once you're out of theta state, that programming is gone, and you can then isolate that thought process. So really look at that first 30 minutes after waking up, and if nothing else, work on that. Just change that first half an hour, and it will change the rest of your day. Once you are into work mode, I would suggest you something called the Eisenhower matrix. So a lot of us will make lists. We'll kind of brain dump everything we have to do for the day, and there'll be a big list of A4. And everything's there merged into one as you thought of it. Now, the Eisenhower matrix is a way of organizing your to-do list into these 4 categories: urgent and important, not urgent but important, urgent but not important, and not urgent, not important. Be really strict here. If you have something that is essential to do, but the deadline is next week, it's not urgent, but it's important. If you have to get payroll done today, otherwise your team don't get paid tomorrow, that's urgent and important. Writing a presentation for a workshop you're about to do next month, is probably important but not urgent. It may even be not urgent, not important. Writing a presentation for one you're about to do this afternoon, urgent and important. So we can separate everything out. And obviously here, when you've done this, be strict with it. Focus here. Focus on the urgent and important stuff. If it's in this section down here, probably something to delegate out or to ditch entirely. It's one not for you not to worry about. Focus here. Do these tasks first, but one task at a time. Don't multitask, like we said earlier. One task at a time. And then come back and do the urgent but not important ones. When you've done those, then I'll suggest you do the not urgent and important. And if you've still got energy at the end of the day, then do these. Keep them all in order. So when you see that massive list of things to do, your brain will feel overwhelmed, you'll shut down, you'll go into beta state, and you'll be useless to everybody. So focus on minimal stuff here. Here first, then the rest once you've got energy. Something we need to know about is called the reticular activating system, or the RAS. This is part of your brain. This is part of your kind of limbic brain, that chimp brain. And essentially it's your kind of brain's finder or your search engine. And it seeks out what you tell it is important. So it goes out and gets evidence to back up the thoughts and the commands that you're giving it. Now the thing with this is that it is unable to process negative commands. The example I would always give here is if you're climbing a ladder and someone says to you, don't look down, the RAS will tell you looking down is important. That's why it's so hard to resist the urge to look down. The better command is to look up. Keep your eyes up, because now looking up is important. The reason I'm telling you this is because a lot of us will focus on problems and things that are going wrong, things that we're supposed to not do. Again, if we think about it from a health and fitness perspective, I'm not going to eat cake. Now your brain will then hear eating cake is important, which is very hard to resist eating cake, because your brain has already processed it and has kick-started the activity to go get cake because it's important for you. It's the same part of the brain that if you buy a new car, you'll then see that car that you've bought everywhere. Your brain decides it's important. So we need to make sure that we're focusing on things that you can influence, things that you can change, and on solutions rather than problems. If you're telling yourself all day that work's a struggle, that you've got so much to do today, and that you can't cope, that you're stressed, your brain is going to go find proof of that. So if your story is that I'm really busy, your brain is going to find every little job going possible to prove you right. That's why if you want something done, you always ask a busy person, because that's part of their narrative, it's part of their story. They have to always be doing something. So if that's your story, I'm too busy to say, I'm too stressed. Yeah, you're absolutely right, because your brain will find every bit of proof. If you're telling yourself that your boss is an ass, if you're telling yourself that your teammate is lazy, that's all you will ever see from those people, because your brain is looking for proof. So you need to look at the story that you're telling yourself. Right, actually, do you know what? Look for the solution, right? What does your colleague do that's good? What does your boss do that's kind and compassionate? Seek it out and you'll see more of it. Yeah, this is it does take practice. It's not easy to do, but it's something I want you to be aware of. Finally, finishing off your day. Remember, your brain processes things at night. That's why we sleep. It's for physical repair. It's for emotional processing. And like we just said, your brain will run things through filters depending on what you tell it to do. So we need to make sure that you give your brain a positive filter to run through your memories and your downloading for the day. So before you go to bed, just want you to think about, maybe write this down or talk it through with your partner. What worked well today? What did you learn? What are you grateful for? What were your successes? What do you need to achieve tomorrow? Rather than the typical moan fest that most people do. Now, if you're moaning and whinging and whining before you go to bed, your brain will be running that through all night. You'll wake up feeling low, in a really low mood, low energy, which means you go for coffee, for sugar to kickstart you. Then your next day is on that roller coaster. You go to bed in a good mood, you wake up feeling fresher, you wake up feeling lighter. You don't need that sugar, that caffeine, which I put earlier. So think about finishing your day, the last half an hour, the same as your first half an hour. And we want to get back into theta state. Remember, your brain will go through all 5 of these things all day. So we'll go from when you sleep, that first half an hour of waking up, to your kind of eco mode, into work and productivity mode. We then, at the end of the day, need to come back down through it. So we need to go back from productive into eco mode, down into theta, and then into sleep. Again, that means taking your last half an hour slow, away from stimulation, away from stress, and not putting question time on, not putting the news on, not reading social media or all the bad stuff that's gone on that day, not checking your emails before you go to bed, doing things that are positive where you're reading maybe a fiction book, having a bath or a shower. You might be spending time outdoors, you might be having a stretch, you might be meditating. It's things to slow your brain down in the same way that we do for kids and babies. You don't wind a baby up and play with it and kind of really stimulate a baby and then want it to switch off instantly and go to sleep. You have to slow it down by giving it a bath and a bottle and a book. It's taking it down into slow theta and delta state. And as humans, as adults, we have to do the same thing. Getting your sleep will determine your morning energy, that will determine your food, that will determine your day energy, that will determine your productivity. It's a whole, complete, integrated 24-hour cycle. I hope that makes sense. I hope that's been really useful for you. Look, if nothing else, pick one thing from this video, try it out, come in with an open mind, see how things are working, see what works for you. If you need any more help with this, please feel free to get in touch. I'm sure you've got my email. It will be attached to these videos. Give me a shout, give me a call. I do one-to-one work or working groups. I'm not going to do a big sales pitch, but there is help here for you. If you want to go deeper into this, then just reach out and ask for help, and I will happily talk you through it. All right, for now, thank you very much for listening. Thanks for getting this far through. I will see you all very, very soon. Thank you.